I would like to have a discussion today, and then she's gonna pick a story out, we're gonna do a story at 6. But I wanna have a discussion today, and I want people, we're gonna go around the room and we're gonna talk. How many people come from an environment where people enabled you a lot? Okay, and how many people come from environments where you didn't get enabled at all, really? Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna talk, I wanna talk, so I'll start off and I'm gonna go, and I'm just gonna kinda go and say, all right, so that's really not the truth though, so I wanna, my ex-wife used to enable the shit out of me, no doubt about it, but like my parents and my sister, like that immediate family, there was none of that. And I see, and I kinda knew it then, I see that that was a lot more helpful to me than my ex-wife used to kind of let me get away with everything, you know? And also, she also trusted me, and that kind of, you know, a lot of my lies for a long time would fly. Because the thing is, if you're in an environment where you get enabled a lot, I don't think it's a very productive environment. You know what I mean? Like, if people are it's like, if once parents or husband and wife, once they go to Al-Anon, the first thing they'll teach you in Al-Anon is don't love them to death. What does that mean? What do they mean by that, Sean?
Just let them kind of isolate yourself from them and just let them learn on their own.
Well, that's what they'll teach them is tough love. But if they say to you, don't, yes, tell us.
It means like, because letting them do, like, enabling them to do what they were doing is going to kill them at some point.
Yeah, because here's the real deal about this whole thing. There is no guaranteed way to treat somebody that they wind up getting sober. Do you understand what I'm saying? But you definitely can't let people get away. You know, you can't let people get away with everything. It definitely doesn't help. A lot of the times, it's funny because what's the one word we all really hate? No, because we're not getting our way. Stop. Well, that kind of breaks down to no though, right? You know what I mean? But we don't want to hear no because we're not getting our way. But how many times have we had situations where we look back on it and say, oh, the best thing that ever happened to, I mean, who's been in jail? And sometimes we're like, man, the best thing, I mean, I just talked to a guy that I was sponsoring for a while. He's an Army Ranger and stuff. And, you know, he got locked up and he's been in there for like the last 45 days. And I just talked to him and he's like, man, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. He's like, I would have been dead. You know, I'm like, I know. And I was begging him, man, you need to get into treatment. You need to do this. You need to do that. And he just, you know, couldn't hear none of it. And when he was put to a stop. So sometimes the best thing for us is no. And did you ever notice sometimes when, like, maybe your husband, your wife, whoever, somebody says something to you and it really upsets you? You know, usually that's the shit you need to hear. Okay, so I just kind of told you about how, David, tell me, like, what was it like? You grew up in an enabling environment?
Yeah, I actually wrote that in the binder today. So my mom gave me my first drink of alcohol, gave me my first cigarette, we smoked, you know, weed in the house. They were just really relaxed. I think they tried to be like the cool parents, you know, and yeah, I took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
So they would let me, and even in high school, they would let me smoke weed in the house. I guess their thought process was like, rather do it here than somewhere else.
Yeah.
But
well, what message did it really send to you?
that it's okay.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
So.
And here's the thing, I was talking with my nephew, right? Like, my nephew's 15 years old, and
Yeah.
he started smoking weed, and this. So my brother died of an overdose, right? And my sister's scared to death, right? And he's like, I don't know why she freaks out, and she always thinks worst. You know, he didn't say in these words, he's like, she always thinks worst case scenario. And I said, Christian, every single person that's ever overdosed and died starts out smoking weed or drinking at the age of 15. Now, not everybody that starts out doing stuff like at the age of 15 overdoses and dies or goes on to wind up in treatment or jail. But that's what I was trying to tell him. Like, everybody, nobody starts off doing heroin at 13 years old. Well, I don't want to say nobody I know. You know what I mean? It always starts off with smoking weed, doing this, doing that. And then, you know, like if you grow up in a household like David where it's kind of accepted and it's kind of this, it's kind of, you kind of run with it, right? Like you just, hey, well, it's no big deal. Now, I don't know, I know you, from what I understand, from what you told me, your dad's kind of not having stuff like this, right?
Right.
So, like, give me a time where, if you can, give me a time where, like, he kind of just, he kind of hits you with some type of, you know, a no that, you know what I mean? Like, something that he did where, well, even what you were telling me the other day, where he called you and begged you to get into something like this, or,
Yeah, so he's always had my back. He never, my mom's kind of a different story, but my dad, he's always been there for me, but he had a real heart-to-heart with me when I ran away and I flew down to Colombia, South America, and it was rainy season, so I was kind of barricaded in a hostel hotel room, and then I was just doing cocaine and drinking vodka nonstop, and I guess subconsciously, I guess I was kind of on a suicide mission, and he called me and he answered, and he's like, he just begged me to come back. He's like, you're not going to get very many chances, you know, and yeah, I kind of just, it really hit me because it dawned on me, like, you know, my dad's not, he's in poor health, and he basically told me, he's like, I only have maybe 3, maybe 4 years left. And,
if he's lucky,
if
probably.
he's lucky.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got
like-
a stent and everything, but
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess that was in a roundabout way, he basically begged me to stop so he didn't have to bury me before he passed away, and that's, regardless of why I came back, at least it was a start. It was a reason
Yeah,
why
yeah.
to come back, and then once I sobered up, I realized I need to do this for me too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to throw away all these. I have so many opportunities. It's ridiculous, and even in a way, I don't know if other vets can relate to this, but you get service connection money, and then like it's kind of like the VA helps you for, you know, the issues that you have, but at the same time, it's kind of a safety net, because in the back of my mind, I know that
You always have
I can
that.
always go to treatment. I'm never going to be broke.
So it almost kind of enables you.
Well,
Not really, but
yeah, I mean, I use it as a
no, but it's right. It almost is, because you're like, you know, things can never get too bad. I can always just run back here, run the treatment. I'll always have benefits and money and all that.
I take that perspective,
Yeah.
and I shouldn't. But
Well, I mean, it's what we do. Listen, we push. Usually the only thing that, I mean, for the most part, people run out of rope.
I say if anything, it fuels my addiction because I get stuck sitting around the house stagnant, and I don't really have to do anything to support myself. The drinking and the
Yeah.
using comes in that way because you're just kind of shut in. And I told myself I'm not going to go to the bars anymore. I'm in this relationship, but then the relationship goes sour and you're stuck in this house. And so then I'm just self-medicating. I get off my meds, you know, and then I isolate. I stop answering my psychiatrist's phone call when she checks in every 3 months. And it's just, you know, that's the pattern. I've gone through that cycle 3 times now.
Well, here's the funny thing. Like I was saying this one time, and a few people disagreed with me because it doesn't mean that everybody in here had the greatest life, the greatest upbringing. They don't have a lot of trauma, and they don't have. But I think for the most part, we become drug addicts and alcoholics because our life is so good. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we have food and lights and this and that, and we have money to blow on. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like if we were like completely back down to homeless and optionless and all this other stuff, like we might look at things a little differently. But I remember telling somebody, like, I became a drug addict because I always had money to buy drugs. You know what I mean? Like,
Same for you.
yeah. Like I always was able to be like, well, you know, I mean, yeah, I went through some rough things and some things happened and grew up like, but really, like things were usually.
Do you think that's just because you were sitting on so much that you couldn't have done it all yourself?
No, it wasn't even that. It was just like always like I really break. Yeah.
We're gonna do telemed here in a little bit. We're just waiting on Dr. Marconi, but these are the ones that went in.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So it just I think what happens is I would get uncomfortable and I would run and look for something to do, you know, and that's where the being enabled, like, I mean, I enabled myself, like, or even like the type of lifestyle I had, like, people around me kind of turned. I mean, here was the thing. What were they really going to do? Like, I supported myself. I did whatever I had to do. I paid my bill. You know what I mean? So it's like, what could they really say? But really, it didn't do me any favors.
And if you're like me, I surrounded myself with friends that also use and enable, so I didn't feel like a piece of shit.
Oh, no doubt.
Right.
When they say water seeks its own level,
Absolutely.
there's no doubt about it.
You know, I got sober when I enlisted, and then when I got out, I got married, and I got a job, and I was doing the right thing. But as soon as my divorce happened, I went right back to when I was in high school and college.
Yeah.
And just picked it up like it was riding a bike.
Well, so here, I like what you said, because that was the same thing with me. I always abused drugs and this, that, the other thing, right? But it was never a thing to me until I had a couple home invasions. My brother died, an investigation, my brother-in-law went away. Like, all of a sudden, like, everything's crashing down on me, and now I'm using it to get out of bed in the morning. I'm using it, like, after your divorce, like.
It's almost like if I don't have a reason to stay in line other than myself, I'm gonna crash. I think it ultimately boils down to like, I really don't like myself that much for whatever reason. I'm working on that. But if I have someone else to take care of, or say like a job that is depending on me to do something, or then I can stay straight. But if it's just me and I don't have any external like responsibilities other than myself, it's like.
Let me ask you something.
Fuck it, let's
Do
do
you
it,
think you had that way before the military?
Yeah, it started young. for sure.
I believe that too. Like, I was always the type of person. I'm the type of person, like, and here's the thing, guys, I could not recognize this about myself when I was sitting in your seat. This is because I've done the work. I'm the type of person that walk into a room like this. It could be in grade school, high school, middle school. I walk into a room like this, I immediately feel inferior to every single person in here. I start comparing myself and looking at things, and if I sit in a room long enough, I'll find something to make me superior. It's just one thing. And one thing, you know why? That way I can sit in this room. You know what I mean? Because my default setting is to feel inferior to everybody. And that's where I think this thing comes from. That's where I think it comes from. And that's why people like us, we excel at all this other shit. In the military, I'm sure, whatever job you do, whatever you guys do, we do it really well. We're overachievers in a lot of ways. We expect perfection out of ourselves. We expect perfection. You know what I mean? Like, that's really the way we are. But it's like we got this thing in us that makes us feel less than. Well, I know I do. And that was the type of thing, like, because I had realized, like, I never felt like a part of you guys. I always felt separated. So that's why I said my default setting is to feel beneath everybody. But like, I'll figure out a way to make me superior to you, because if I really sit in here the whole time and feel inferior to all of you, I might as well just run out and kill myself. Do you understand what I'm saying? So go ahead, Craig, tell me, an enabling environment, not enabling environment, and how has enabling not helped you?
Yeah, it's gonna sound a little redundant on what you guys have already talked about. I didn't really grow up in an enabling house as far as alcohol, but I've had the means to kind of feed my addiction as far as I can pay the bills, I can do this, that, and the other, I can get the alcohol. But the people in my life who would not enable me, the people who actually loved me, cared about me, I hid from them, and I was very attracted to the person who was more of a drunk than I was, and I was always going to go hang out with them.
Yeah.
I was always going to go find that group of people.
Yeah.
I was always going to go find those people, because those are the ones who enabled me to feel more like the group.
Yeah.
I was like,
Well, you
I'm
felt a
normal.
part of them. We
I'm
feel
normal. I'm like, yeah. Oh, you're drinking at noon on a Tuesday? Cool, that sounds great. You're drinking at 8 on a Tuesday?
I can't be
We're playing golf?
I can't be that bad if you do it too.
And that's, I was attracted to those kind of people. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's the main reason I got into golf. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you gotta play
It's acceptable to drink.
tea times at 7?
Yeah.
No, I'm having a whiskey at 7.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds dumb, but like, I literally.
First of all,
shunned the
I guess it sounds dumb when you say it out loud, but it doesn't sound dumb to us. You know what I mean? Makes perfect sense to us. Who in here is taking a job as a bartender because there's liquor everywhere? Come on, nobody? Okay, good. I was going to say, don't you guys lie now. But it's what we do. It's really what we do. And it's crazy. It's like, hang out with, like, for us, right? Like, we don't really want to be around people that call us out on things, right? You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be around that because, like I said, and I say this all the time, how many times have we been told, come on, man, you got so much potential? And it's it's true, and it's a real fucked up way of saying you're fucked up. Go ahead.
And that's why my parents they would even know whenever I was fucking up or whatever, because I'd stop going around.
Oh yeah, we
So,
start avoiding them.
And then they'd start calling me like, you know, we know you're fucked up, Shara, because you're not coming around.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's what happens because, listen, are we not, is it not, like, does this not bring a lot of shame to ourselves? Like, I don't know about you. I say it all the time. I couldn't have hated myself more. I couldn't have, you know, I remember telling my sister and my ex-wife at one time where they were like, come on, like they were trying to encourage me. And I'm like, I know you guys lost respect for me. I lost respect for myself. And they're like, no, but you can do, you know, it's crazy. Like, I am so grateful for the people in the world. Like, I remember like my ex-boss and a friend of mine, Dan, at work, like, they really supported me so much. Like, I remember when I got sober and I made amends to them, even though like, you don't have to make amends to me. And I'm like, you guys don't understand. You've seen something in me that I could not see. Go ahead, Shiloh. Enabling environment, how did it hurt?
I mean, they have give me whiskey and beer and whatever I want, cigarettes. When I didn't see. I moved out 18. As soon as I graduated, I moved out and got my own work. You know what? I started waiting tables. And I could actually go out with the 21 people and drink with them. Because they would, you know, oh yeah, it's 21.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. So I was a bar file like, I'm like 16 up. On the bar at 16, staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'd have to be at work the next day till like 5, so. But then I moved out. I probably worked in every place like Walmart. I was a bartender and a waiter.
But you see how, remember the other day when we were reading the chapter 11. What's it? Yeah, what was it? A Vision for You. And it said in the beginning, drinking meant conviviality with friends and good times and this, that, right? Like, so here it is, like, you start drinking and like what Craig, you gotta stop passing those. Craig says, you know, I go golfing and I have a good time and I'm drinking with people that are just like me, and this is what we do in order to feel a part of, because a lot of times when we come in, when we're around other people, we don't feel a part of them.
I mean, I started smoking at 15 probably.
So, yeah, but so you have a kid, right?
Yeah.
What's going on with, like, how was your relationship with your ex-wife? Did she enable you or did she constantly?
Like I said, when we first got together, we both had a drink. She was drinking as much as I did, if not more.
And what happened?
I just went all of a sudden one day after her birthday, she quit.
Because of the drinking?
I don't know why. I don't even remember the reason. But probably because I was drunk.
Okay.
But Nick's got old soul. You know what that means?
Old soul? Yeah.
Yeah. All he wants to do is he's addicted to the gym.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
So I don't see.
Listen, just to let you guys know, that type of mentality that we have, it kind of never goes away. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you know, what do you think a lot of people do when they get sober? What do you think the first thing they do? Throw themselves into what?
Jim?
A lot of times, work. Yes, work. The gym. A lot of people start sleeping around. A lot of people start eating. You know what I mean? Like, but like even me to this day, like the same type of mentality that I had in New York, I have out here. If I am not busy and I'm not doing something and I'm not moving forward, I mean, I can't even sit still because I feel like I'm going backwards. Do you understand? Like that's something that'll never go away. But I just try to do it. I put it towards the right place instead of the wrong place. Go ahead, young lady.
Well, my enabling was, I really don't look at it that way, but at home, where I grew up at, they always had selling parties and play card games, and what they would do is, when they play cards, they would put their beer and drinks on the floor. And as a kid, I would crawl around, pick up their stuff and sip it, but they didn't know, you know? Cause I feel like, they always laugh and having a good time. I wanna laugh too. I don't know
Yeah.
what they drinking is so good to make them laugh. I wanna laugh too,
Yeah.
you know? So, start sneaking their little drinks, but by the time I became a teenager, you know, weed, like you say, you start off with weed, then somebody said, oh, we got some wine, and, you know, we started drinking wine, weed, and cocaine, and just keep on going.
Let me ask you, did you start getting in trouble with the drugs and the alcohol early? Maybe legal trouble,
No.
relationship problem? No?
I did
Okay.
not. I got lucky there.
Okay,
I did not.
okay.
Got lucky there. Joined the military when I was 22 years old and kept going, but kept coming back and forth from home.
Oh, you're a
to
vet?
Texas.
I did
Yes.
not know that. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice.
Yes.
So who in here has been arrested, I don't know how many times, and their parents bail them out or help them with lawyers? No?
No.
No? Because,
It's our own.
you know, what does that, I mean, what does that teach us? Yeah. And here's the thing,
Okay.
well, and here's the thing, that's a slippery slope. Like, if my kids got in trouble, like, I wouldn't know, you know what I mean? Like, I'd have to see, well, what they do and how much trouble, you know what I mean? Because, you know, you don't, I mean, I'm not even gonna say it, but you could ask Nelson, the guy Nelson that comes here, you ever hear his story?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell his story for him, but he's got a situation where he was like, man, nope, I can't enable you, and then something bad really happened.
I would say my husband would be my enabler, but just because, one, he's in the alcohol business, but we're constantly having dinner parties, and he'll be the first to say, you can just have one glass. Well, I can't.
Yeah. Well, and he doesn't know that. Well, he should know that.
Well, no, he knows it. He did, but that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a huge enabler, because I'll say, just let me have one more glass, and then let me have the bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He always says yes.
yeah.
He might try to fight with you over it for a little bit, but he
I know,
always
give it to me.
always gives in,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And it does us no good.
None,
Like, it does us no good.
none.
Beth.
Family relative was my enabler, cause like every time we were like, it get close to the weekend, you know, we all get dolled up and get lit or whatever. And yeah, she was my enabler. We always go get our drugs together, get high together, and it was all fun at the time. And now that I think about it, she's my enabler. She's more like the one that like peer pressure me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got you into it. I see that all the time. Like where I'm from in New York, like you've got people that turn people onto the needle, right? Or turn people on to really heavy drugs because like what Craig or David was saying before, we like to have people around us that are doing that type of stuff so we don't feel so wrong doing it. Good.
For me, my parents are very much helicopter parents, so on top of me that as a young immature kid, I just wanted to rebel, be different, and then after a while, I just kind of went to the complete opposite of that, and was with the girl that allowed me to do anything and everything, and then get blamed for it. But
Well, let me ask you something. When you get in trouble, how do your parents react?
I mean, they make me feel like I'm a dumbass, like the dumbest person in the world.
All right, but-
shit, like you don't, you're young, you don't know anything, and like you're not like, that kind of stuff.
But I'm saying, like, do they bail you out? Do they help you with things? Do basically like Beth's enabler, like Jody's. They talk shit, but then they always kind of bail you out.
Yes and no. It wasn't bailing me out; it was protecting me. But I would much rather have been let go than
Yeah.
bail me out. And I've said that to them, and now it's like too late. I'm in a situation where I have no choice. But I mean, they bailed me out before, but it wasn't in a way that.
Well, so your parents didn't give you tough love, right? Is that what you're saying? You wish they would have. But I mean, what do they know about this?
Well, I mean, the problem is they compared me to my younger brother all the time, and my brother, you know, they treated him differently than me, and I mean, they gave him tough love early on, and he's now perfectly fine, and they just sit there asking, you know, what the heck's going wrong. I mean, I don't even know how to fucking ride a bike. I don't even know how to fucking like do a lot of shit. And I mean, it was just like, you know, then you expect me to have these problems, like, then they expect me to just figure it out alone. But y'all have always been there for me, you know. And like my mom in particular, she'd always just answer the questions. Like I'd always go to my mom to answer, or go to my dad to answer, like, and just then they wonder why, you know.
I know, but still, it's it's not their fault, right?
No, I'm not mad at them for it.
Well,
It's
it
just-
sounds like it.
I mean, I just got off a very stressful phone call with them, so that's
Yeah.
part of the reason why. But I mean, before I called them, I was very thankful and blessed with them, and then I told them what was going on, all the stuff that I've been doing, and coming to terms with it. They just made me feel like shit, like I'm stupid. Well, make sure you don't do that, don't do this. I'm like, stop. Like,
Okay. Reyes is getting ice. He's Reyes. You know who you need? Martinez?
Is Cervantes around?
He's upstairs. Can someone get him for me, please? Thank you.
I'd like to start with him.
Okay. He's on. He'll get him right now.
Mrs. Farman, you can be next, and then you should be after that.
Okay.
to be honest, I'm like processing all that, and I'd rather just like not share.
Okay. All right, Nathaniel.
In my case, and this is going to be a little bit different than I think maybe some of the other experiences, my methods were a bit more devious. When my consumption of alcohol did become worrisome, troublesome, might have or should have been a cause for concern, I worked so hard to excel in every other arena in my life to justify my behavior. If this is legitimately a problem, if this was a concern, if this was to excess, how could I possibly be excelling in this way? How could I possibly have a position of this kind of prestige? How could I be in more exceptional physical condition than anyone in your neighborhood? How can I fly the following morning and outperform my peers if indeed this is a problem? Maybe you're exaggerating the issue.
Now let me ask you, what do you think that does though? What do you doing that, what do you think that fuels, the part of the disease that fuels?
Fuels my ego and
Well, it's the ego that's fueling that, but it fuels the denial. Because I used to do the same thing, right?
Not only I denied it, but I created the denial for other people.
Yeah, well, no, me too, because how could I have a drug problem if all my other problems are okay? You know what I mean? Like, what I tell you the other day, if you were my next door neighbor, you would think I was killing life. You know what I mean? Not killing myself. Like, because that's what we do. And that's how we lie to ourselves. We be convinced that, well, it's not that bad. I told you, my definition of a drug addict was someone that did too much drugs and didn't have anything. I did too much drugs, I just had stuff. So I was able to, and when you're able to help your mother-in-law out with money and you're able to, pay for your parents, like to have their lawn cut all the time, you know what I mean? You're able to pay for this type of stuff. Looks like you've got some things under control, and I had nothing under control. And I like what you said about the ego too, because, we kind of push our weight around, we try to get what we want. What do you think when someone finally does try to tell us no, or somebody does like show us our behavior in our face? What do you think that hits at the ego, right? But it's our ego and our sense of entitlement. Like we're just running around. Like our sense of entitlement says, man, I do this and I do that and I do this. I should be able to do that, And I promise you, I tell you guys this all the time. When your sense of entitlement, your ego are like motivating factors for you, you're headed nowhere good. Sean, let me know, buddy.
In '83, I got into trouble. I was with a drug dealer and we were caught in a fight with a bunch, and I got charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And I had to have my parents come up with $3,000 for a lawyer, and it saved my ass, because if I wouldn't have had that money, I might have got charged. And then when I got down here in 1984, I got 2 DWIs in the court the same month, and bondsman wouldn't get me out, so I had to get my mother and my stepdad to send the money down here to a bondsman to get me out. And it was very remorseful. I hated it, between the time that they died and the time that happened, I I tried to pay him back, and I never kept track of what I was sending. I sent my mother $100 a week for almost a year. And, you know, it bothered me. It was probably part of my alcoholism because I drank a lot because of the resentment I had. But somebody told me one time, well, they probably forgot all about that. I mean, don't let it bother you, you know.
Well, they probably did, and they were just doing the best that they know to help their son out. But like, what if you act like, and here's the what if game, and we can play this all day long. But like, say they didn't give you your money, right? And you had to sit in jail.
Oh, yeah.
And you had to sit in jail for a couple of years, and you start, because anybody in here that's ever sat in jail for a prolonged amount of time, things just start making sense to you and start coming to you like, holy
Yeah.
shit, like, you know, oh man, maybe, you know, because that's, like I keep saying all the time, like sometimes the people, most times, people enabling us, they're not doing us any favors. And the people that enable us, they're just doing the best they can. They're just trying to, they think they're doing the best they can, but I'm telling you, man, sometimes we need to, consequences and pain are the only thing that ever makes us change. We never change when things are good.
Yeah, I just put myself in their place since I had my own children, and I would have done it for my kids.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Me too. You know what I mean? Like here I am too. Like me too. Like you know, it's a hard
Right.
thing. Jonathan.
I grew up, my mother was a prison guard at a maximum security prison, so drugs were, even marijuana was a huge no-no.
Yeah.
None in the house whatsoever.
And
Drinking
being
was
that
a-
your mom was a CO, I bet you she was a pretty tough woman.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, I can.
for sure. She was a sergeant the whole time she was
So
there.
like you even think about lying, and she knows it's a lie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she had one of those big old thick leather utility belts too. But drinking was a little bit different. I guess I was about 14 or 15, and my dad let me drink with him on New Year's Eve, and that was the first time I got drunk, and I loved it. And then my parents divorced the year after that when I was 15, and I ended up going to stay with my uncle for a while, and he hosted a party for us, me, my cousins, and some of our friends, and he got us alcohol, and that was the first time I got blackout drunk. And it was a wrap from there. I had a job from 15 all the way up until now, and I supplied my own habit. I also started smoking weed around then, and doing various other things.
So you went from a house where they weren't really tolerating much to an environment that they kind of tolerated anything.
Almost.
Do you see? But
Only
not
at certain
anything.
times.
You weren't allowed to smoke crack in a living room. I get it. But
Right.
do you understand what I'm saying? Do you see how it kind of
Right.
allows you to?
Yes, and then I've been married before. We
Really,
both-
you were married?
Mhm.
Okay.
We both drink insane amounts, and that was a very two-way enabling
Yeah.
relationship. And now I'm here.
Okay. I'm glad to have you, Arthur.
Well, my enablers would have to be my pawpaw, my dad, but the biggest one was my wife, or my ex-wife now. Before I retired from working, she used to, I got paid on Thursdays, I was work 4/12s at the plant. And she would make sure that I had a case of beer and a fifth of Paul and song. She did that for a good little while, because I worked on that one job at the plant welding for about 11 years. You know, I had a job, but that job was about the longest I stayed on the job. But after I stopped working, I guess she realized that she was enabling me because she stopped doing that. Yeah, she just cut off. But I've been drinking since I was a child. Both of my papas, they both drank, and he was a preacher. My dad drank, he was a preacher. So me and my dad, I can remember me and my dad, my dad used to, I don't know why he would do it. I guess it was something between him and my mother, which I never know to this day, but my dad would always go off in the garage, turn the radio on to a gospel channel and drink. And I would watch him whenever he would come out, go in there and get some, put some water in his, he drank the Smirnoff vodka, you know?
The good stuff.
Yeah, and then one day he just said, well, hey, you can have that bottle, and then I became his drinking buddy.
Mm.
You know, and I just drank. I mean, you know, honest. I mean, I'm being honest with myself and with y'all. I've never, ever, until March the 6th, ever even what thought about not drinking. I don't care what nobody was saying. Even my wife kept telling me, oh, I'm gonna divorce, I'm gonna leave. She didn't say I'm gonna divorce you, I'm gonna leave. It was like, yeah, well, I mean, you know, the sickness that I had, you know what I'm saying? They told me my liver was all messed up. I still drank.
Yeah.
I just was blessed enough to where I stopped, and since I've been in sobriety March the 6th, I've been clean sober since March the 6th. I took their medicine, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, it was a bummer, man. When I went to the doctor and you know, drove from Beaumont to Houston, and they said, hey man, you have Hep C. I'm saying, Hep C, what the shit is that?
What the shit is that?
Then we went back to my days of shooting drugs, you know? No drug didn't, you know, you shooting drugs with somebody, ain't nobody talking about, well, before I use this here, I'm gonna clean that syringe and get it clean and stuff. Man, hurry up with it, man, got all that jacking and stuff, come on with it, you know what I'm saying? But it would be my family, you know, my family, you know what I'm saying? My wife never drank it, never smoked a cigarette, but she would make sure, you know, when she was doing this, I felt like, now I look back at it, that she wanted me to be, you know, comfortable and...
It was like your reward for busting your ass.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was busting my ass, man, I'm telling you.
No, well, because...
You know, I always come through for her, you know what I'm saying? But she had a good job, she worked at the hospital.
Yeah.
She was supervisor at the hospital, she been there like 27 years. You know, but... Yeah, she now that I understand what an enabler is, because I really didn't, up until a while back, you know, they was enablers.
Well, break down the word enabler.
Huh?
Break down the word enabler.
It will be
And,
someone
no,
who-
listen, enable you.
Yeah.
They make you able. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, not only did she let you pretty much do it, but she got it for you.
Yeah.
Doesn't make, you know, you being an alcoholic is, nothing is her fault. You know what I mean? That's on you. But the thing is, and I grew up in a type of environment where everybody did drugs. You know what I mean? Like, everybody drank or did drugs. I told you, my mother's side of the family, they're 99.1% Irish. Like, there isn't a male on my mom's side of the family that didn't have a severe drug and alcohol problem. And half the women too. Some of the women are okay, the other half aren't. But this is, I mean, so it just becomes commonplace. But like I really started this whole thing off by saying, and people that enable us are not doing us any favors. Now, most of the people that enable us are just doing the best they can. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, most people don't have the education behind this, but you guys, yeah, you guys do now. Go ahead, young lady. Did you go?
And my mama, because my mama is very mean, but she still wouldn't like always help me, even though she says mean things. It doesn't matter like what I do. Like even if I do like mean things to her, she'll be mean back, but she'll still help me. And she always kicks me out, but I always can come back. And even like now, she has both my kids, and she's taking care of them financially, but she's also taking care of me financially still, which is nice, but it's kind of still enabling me, because I really don't like have to, I don't have to like worry about certain things. Then maybe if I did have to worry about them certain things, it would force me to change.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody wants to be homeless. Nobody wants to not have anything, right? We all, I mean, it takes money to live. You know, nobody wants to be stuck like that. Do you want your kids back?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let me ask you something. Who in here, guys, who's here? It's only used to, there hasn't been, not many. Who's here longer than 2 weeks? Okay, longer than 2 weeks. Has any of you had a conversation? Now, listen, I just want to say this group is actually really humble, really open, really honest. Most people are really doing the right things. But I see it from time to time. Like, has your counselor or anybody here really made you mad with something they said to you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you want to share or no? You don't have to.
Well, because sometimes I get mad at my mama, because my mom is very mean, but basically she told me to be grateful, even though she's kind of mean, because it could be worse.
Yeah.
I could have nobody, and she could just make sure my kids are okay, and that's really kind of all she kind of has to do. And not even that, my kids could be in like CPS, and then that would make the situation way worse. And so she said just to be grateful that I have a person like that.
Sure.
Your
mom's doing a lot.
A lot of people my age don't come to rehab and stuff because they don't have I have insurance through my mama.
Yeah, the resources.
And stuff like that, and I have kids, and a lot of women my age and other women older age, they don't go to rehab either because they have children and not nobody to watch their children.
Yeah.
And so I'm very lucky, and she said be grateful.
Well, because here's the whole thing, and I don't know your mom, and I don't know, maybe she's the meanest person on earth, I don't know. But maybe she's not even that mean. You know what I'm saying? Because anybody in here ever be the type of person that takes something, like somebody says something to us and holy shit, we lose I mean, how dare you talk to me like that? Like, don't you know who I think I am? Like, when really, like, a lot of times it's stuff we need to hear, or at the same time, like, it's really not that serious. Like, it's really not that serious. Like, is she like verbally abusive or curse you out all the time?
Yeah, she crazy. Don't let that was crazy as hell.
Okay.
But she's very, very nice.
Well, maybe she's a little fed up. She's taking care of the two kids.
No, it's not what it is, because before I had kids, she was crazy too.
Okay. But you understand what I mean by that, though,
Yes.
right? Like, and you know what, because Amy or whoever your counselor, you're right. Like, you still have your mom, and yeah, you know.
And she could have been done a long time ago.
Yeah.
But she's not. She's very nice.
Because when you guys get clean and sober and you really get through this stuff, like, I was telling Amy before, like, about some of the stuff that I think about, some of the things that I would say or do, like, I can't believe that was an acceptable way to be in a relationship, like, to just lie the way we do. You know what I mean? And anybody in here ever think they're lying, doing the other person a favor? Oh, me. I mean, I was convinced because the women in my life, my mother, my sister, my ex-wife, they were the ones that always were talking shit, right? And I would just lie to them because I didn't want them to worry. Because in the back of my mind, I'm like, if they know me, they've known me forever, right? They probably know me better than me. They have to know I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. You know what I mean? So here I am just easing their fears and their this, and they probably didn't believe a word of it. But I really thought by lying to somebody, I was doing them a favor. How fucked up is that?
Yeah, I had an incident last week with, what's her name, Miss Rhonda? You know,
Yes. Not Rhonda, though. I think it's Susan, right? Susan.
No, not Susan, the one in the tip, the black tip who mama was.
Mary.
Oh.
I mean, Meryl, I've been calling her Rhonda, she can't answer.
That's probably why she was so mad at you.
You know, I wasn't, you know, this is a trip here too, because I wasn't mad at her. I felt sad because you and Cheryl had went to Walmart, and I had already talked to Mr. Victor, and Mr. Victor had told me to give the paper to her.
Yeah.
And she put it in her pocket and went home. So when y'all came back, you know, I'm ready. You know, I need some long sleeve shirt and a hoodie. You know what I'm saying? And y'all came back, I asked Cheryl, where is that? What's up with, you know, but that next day when she came, she apologized to me, but I wasn't angry or anything, but, you know.
You're disappointed.
Yeah, man, I was bored, was I?
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why, and here's the thing, it was just a mistake.
Yeah, Mr. Victor's son, the maintenance man, the next day to go get the stuff up.
Yeah. Well, I even told you that. I said, we'll take care of it tomorrow. We will, like, it's just.
I just threw it out since you had asked that question, you know, but.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I'm talking about, listen, nobody in here has had one of the counselors, or nobody's had anybody say anything to them and them get mad?
Not me.
Oh, yeah.
What? Who said yes? But hey, listen, it might happen when you're here, it might not. You know, like I said, I wasn't just saying that because you guys are in the room. This is and I really want, this was a good group. I want to tell you guys, what Amy did today, I told Craig before and I told Kelvin and stuff, like, I was really proud of you guys. You guys went deep. It wasn't just some surface, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, drinking cost me money and hangover. Do you understand what I'm saying? You guys said you guys really got deep, and I like that because you're really taking a look. Like, you're taking a look at yourself. And I like that you guys look at the good too, and what you want. Because that's what this takes extreme self-examination. When it says in the book we need to swallow some hard truths about ourselves, like I was telling Amy, like, of everything that you guys put, I wasn't in the whole time, so maybe someone put it, I didn't hear it. But I don't think I didn't hear anybody put manipulator, right? And that was something that was hard for me. Like, I wouldn't have considered myself a manipulator when I was sitting in this room if I was you guys. But after I kind of did some work and wrote some stuff down, and I have flashbacks all the time, not like, you know, Vietnam flashbacks, but like, I'll just remember the type of stuff that I did. And I tell this story all the time. Like, I used to set my wife up for it to be her idea that I would leave so that I could go sell and do drugs and run around and do stuff. Like, I would dump the milk out and then go look for milk. You know what I mean? And then, you know, and stuff like that. And I was like,
You said go look for milk?
no, I would dump the milk out. Yeah, and then go look, like go in the refrigerator and be like, hey, you know what I mean? Yeah. No, it's okay. But yeah, well, and it, like, I mean, like, set somebody up, like, completely, like, an act. Yeah, like, and I really, like, that's the type of stuff I was like, wow, like, you were like a real, like, shitty, manipulating, lying type
That
of
was
thing.
kind of smart. That means you're smart too.
Well, thank you. I thought so at the time too. Thought I was the smartest person I knew.
Normally they just start a fight, but you didn't start a fight. You made sure everything.
Yeah, I don't like to fight. I just wanted to get the hell out. But I'm just saying, like, this is the type of stuff I was like, man, like, and that type of stuff is the type of stuff that humbles me. I don't want to be that. That didn't feel good. Like, you know, and even at the time, I thought I was just getting over, slick, getting by. And when I look at it now, I'm like, oh man, I don't want that type of stuff to, because there's my sense of entitlement and ego. My sense of entitlement thinks I should be out so I can go do what I want to do. And my ego thinks I'm smarter than someone. Like, I can use somebody. And here's the whole thing. Why do you think I got away with that? Because she trusted me. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And she needed.
Well, she was enabled, but she trusted me at the time. You know what I mean? At the time, I could get away with that type of stuff because she wasn't watching my every single move. It got to that point. You know what I mean? Like, you lie to somebody or you manipulate them or you do this. Eventually, you know, they don't believe anything you say, and rightfully so.
What was she gonna say? Don't go get no milk?
She could say, you're full of shit. I just bought, you know what I mean? Whatever. You're just trying to leave the house. Whatever it was, it doesn't matter. That's not really the point of the whole story. The point is, you know, for me, not having really bad consequences, not having type of things, it stunted my growth in becoming a better human being. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I lived a type of lifestyle, like, from the age of 14, from 14 to 31 straight. I was 5, 6, 7 felonies a day. Do you understand what I'm saying? I've been in some trouble. I've had to go to jail a couple of times, spent a lot of money on lawyers, been arrested a lot. You know, I was always able to kind of pay my way out and do this and do that and go on probation, do this program and do that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Never really had to go to jail for any extended amount of time. Never had any of the people in my world, you know, my parents or my friends or I never even had one friend say, Mike, I cannot hang out with you no more. You're not, you know what I mean? But when my ex-wife finally put me out, and I was like, holy shit, like, that was like the first serious thing that I ever had to deal with. And I overdosed, and I had all sorts of things going on, and I was really at the end of my rope. But I'm just saying, like, all that type of stuff, and having money, you know, because I didn't have a lot of money disappearing from the bank. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I used to give my paycheck to my ex-wife, and then just run around and hustle and do all that stuff for my own money. So nobody knew how serious my drug problem was, except for me, but I was just lying to myself about it. And all it did was continue to keep doing what I was doing. You know? It just enabled me to get to the point where I almost killed myself. That's why, like, even with my kids, like, my daughter's 20 years old, and sometimes she drinks, and you know what I mean? And if she's around me and she wants to have a drink or something like that, that's fine, because whatever, but I am not gonna be around her if she's gonna be getting wasted. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I will not tolerate that. I will not be around that type of stuff. Like, I will talk shit to her if I need to. I will whatever. To me, that's just not acceptable. Like, I can't watch her go do that type of stuff. You know, I won't let my kids or the people around me do that type of stuff. I love them too. I tell you guys this all the time, right? Like, when I tell you I love you, what I mean by that is I love you enough to tell you the truth. Now, I'm not going to try to be mean or nasty about it or whatever, but I will never lie to you. I will never lie. I will not. Don't tell me what I want to hear so that I like you. Tell me what I need to hear because you love me. And that's really the way I look at this type of stuff, because what we got going on here, this is real life or death. And if you think it's anywhere else, I mean, you read the literature, it says jails, institutions, and death. When I say who's been in jail, almost everybody puts their hands up. You know this is an institution, right? Anybody in here overdosed before? You know, I mean, how easy is it to not come back from that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they told me at the emergency room like that I almost died.
Yeah.
You know, they had to give me like Ativan drip, and like I was about to have a heart attack.
Yeah. Yeah. And then and listen, with the drugs you do, the overdose rate isn't as high as the drugs I do.
Absolutely
You know,
not.
when you're doing opiates, like, you are begging for death. You know, even with what you do, because nowadays nothing's what it's supposed to be. Did you, if you don't mind me asking, did you start like because you were prescribed?
Yeah, I was prescribed them and then started just abusing shit.
Yeah.
And then make that excuse I still hurt.
Yeah.
Needed more.
Well, because once that door opens up, I mean, well, here's the whole thing. What do painkillers do? Kill pain. They kill physical pain and emotional pain. You know what I mean? They're a great crutch for somebody who's trying to get through life and not feel. That's all of us. What time is it? All right. Oh, shit. Sorry, guys. Guys, 6 o'clock. She's going to pick a story. We're going to do it. Thank you for participating.